Hey Lisa, Dennis with CFO. I want to go. Hey, here's your video. I kind of halfway forgot to do it last Tuesday, and then I was out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with clients and what have you. So, apologize, but here it is. I'm going to cover most of the items you have. It's hard to cover all these in a short video, but I should be able to show you pretty much the highlights. I think anyway. So, first thing is, and I kind of do them in the order that sheet that you filled out. So our takeoffs are Excel-like. They're not Excel. I always like to say Excel-like because people learn how to use our estimating pretty quickly. Um, I'm just going to pull a drywall item here. Doesn't make any difference. Um, so if I come in here and I look just look at the wall you're sitting in front of there. Um, Hang on, I thought I had something in this one. All right, here's one. So we work off what we call two things: parts, which is pretty simple, and then assemblies. And assembly is just a compilation of different parts. So if I'm doing, instead of looking at the wall in front of you, just look at the ceiling above you. And this is suspension ceiling. So uh, we entered some numbers up here, kind of like you would in Excel, length, width. So we came up with this formula that fills this in 1,000 square feet. And I need, according to my math, 0.016 man hours or woman hours for every square foot. I need 1.1 of these, I need 0.32 of these, and I need 0.02 of these. So these are the components that make up an individual assembly. Odd numbers, but they work. And then it just takes this 1,000 and it multiplies these finished quantities out. So I need 16 hours of labor, 1,100 uh, of the channel, and 320 feet, I guess that is, yeah, of this channel here based on these calculations. So as long as you're doing something similar to that in Excel, we can bring it in, create these assemblies, create these parts so that you can do your estimating in Sage 100. And the reason for doing that, Lisa, is once it's done, we're going to move the budget out by individual cost codes. So the budgets are already entered with the cost and the hours. I can print proposals if you want. And if I'm going to create purchase orders to buy those materials, I can do that as well. And so, and I guess might as well go down the list here. And if I want to send out an RFP to vendors to get some pricing for these, I can. And if I want to create subcontracts to other contractors that may be working underneath you, I can do that as well. So a lot of things happen if you do it here. It automates that and it does that reduction in duplicate efforts in your company that you probably have today of rekeying things. So I want to close that up, and obviously we'll go into more detail with one of your estimators if it makes sense. But you know, almost every system out there can write checks and bill the customers and write paychecks and calculate the right amount of taxes with all that. That's not hard to do. But what we add to all of that is we add a full project management suite. So the things like RFIs, I'm down here in this box here, RFIs, submittals, transmittals, daily field reports. This is my desktop. And if I'm a project manager in your company, my desktop would probably look like this when I come in the morning. And I'll just say, hey, you know what? I need to create a purchase order for a job. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I need to do a change order that I came across yesterday. I'm going to click that. And I want to look at my job. And so I'm just going to do this one here because this makes the most sense to see everything in one place. Uh, and I'll just pull up one job that's already filled out here. Whoops. And don't forget, Lisa, as you're watching this, you can always pause this thing to see more of the individual screen entry grids and whatever. But you know, it's got a job name. We have 6 different levels. It's in bid status. We bid it, didn't get it, so it's refused. Or it's moved to contract, which is prior to the getting the contract, but we know we're going to get it because we were low. Current means we're currently working on the project. Completed means I'm done with it, but I haven't got my final check yet. And when we get that last check, we close it. Anyway, we track information in here. So which county you want the income to go to, what sales tax district is it located in, what are the due terms, what's the contract amount, and I'm going to get across who was the architect on this, who's the estimator, if you have salesperson, who's the salesperson, if it has a project manager, we'll just pick John on this job. John's a project manager. These two are just user defined. I just renamed them master job or lockbox, but you could actually have those to be used any way you wanted to. And then all of the contacts on this job can be entered in here as well. But here's what's really nice. If I'm the project manager or the owner or the controller, and I'm looking at this job and I want to see the bid items on this job, those are my bid items. This is my budget. This is the cost side. So this is each of the cost codes, the hours that are budgeted, material, labor, equipment, and subcontract. If I want to look at what purchase orders were written on this job, these are all the POs that I wrote. And if I want to look at, find a big one here, here's one here. If I want to look at that PO, I can drill right back to that PO and see what was purchased, line item by line item, so I can see that without having to go into purchasing. I just can launch it right from this one screen. What change orders out there, what have I invoiced, what have I been paid, and then a contract summary. But if I can just get to that one thing, get to the job, I can see all of this information in one place, which to me is a big deal. I'm not going to save that. Let's see what we want to look at here. Let's look at one of my favorite, actually, and it may be a big deal for you guys too. I'm just going to pull this up here. Oh, I've pulled up a job. I should have changed jobs. Let me pull up job number 2 here. So what I looked at is it's what we call our committed costs. You may be doing this by hand today, but this is my job number 2. These are the tasks. You call them work items. We call them cost codes. Same thing. My budgeted cost plus approved change orders, the cost on approved change orders, the cost in the system to date, and outstanding committed costs. So you've either written a PO or a subcontract to somebody. We keep you in tune with that. So, my favorite example, one of my examples here is like on 4,000, I've got a $1,500 budget and I haven't spent anything to date. So, in QuickBooks, everything's looking pretty good, or my little spreadsheet, everything's looking pretty good because I haven't spent anything against my budget. But the bottom line is somebody just committed the company either on a purchase order or a subcontract for $10,000 more than the budget. So at the end of this job, if it just stays the status quo here, we're going to lose $10,000 on this item. Where right now we don't know that unless we know this committed information. You see this little magnifying glass kind of following me around here. So if I want to see what makes up this $12,000 of cost, I can drill right back to see who we paid and what invoices. If I want to drill back to the actual AP entry, I can go ahead and do that. I'm not going to. There's no real reason to here. A lot of times the project manager goes, they'll see this $10,000 and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yep, I remember that. Or, hey, that 1991 belongs on a different item or a different job. So this is for project managers to drill down and see their cost without having to bug you. And so that to me, it saves a lot of time. Let's see. Let's just jump over to daily field reports because they're right here. And this is going to be a time saver, I think, for you as well. So let me just pull something out of here so it doesn't confuse you. So this is something that would be filled out in the field. They could dial in and do it. If we host it, which we offer hosting at a very inexpensive rate. I don't know how many users you'd have, but you could have it hosted. We do, and let's say we have 3 companies we recommend. You pick the one you like the best. They all do the same thing for about the same price. They take your software, they load it on their servers. They've got the redundant T1 lines. They've got redundant air conditioning. They have backup generators and fuel tanks so that their thing doesn't go down. They've got tons of servers. If something goes wrong with your server, they immediately can move your information to another one. So you're really never ever down. And so, and they do your backups. They do all of the system upgrades on the server. So you really eliminate that cost of having to maintain the server and backing it up. In addition, if you do that, then the software could be run on an iPad or an Android or a tablet or a laptop, as long as it has an internet connection. So anyway, back to the daily field report. What date, what job, what am I doing, who am I reporting it? Some user-defined fields over here. Who worked? This is the W's. Who worked? What did they do? What pay rate are they working at? Pay, regular overtime. And then what pay group if you're doing certified or prevailing wage projects, and then how many hours. And if I wanted to split these guys, like, have another line entry for Sing here, I could and put them on a different item. So you could split their time. But once I do that, that's my daily field report. We also track meeting minutes and meetings and incidents. But I want to get out of here to show you the best part. So if I come over to payroll and I want to do payroll records for the week, so rather than you sitting there keying in the time cards, we go out to this options and say import data, and we go out to the daily field report. So those 4 individuals that we just looked at for job 6, I can't remember which job it was, doesn't make a difference, would now be populated into this, filling out the right cost code, the right job number, the employees, the date, and the hours. And so all of that would be coming in from those daily field reports for each employee. So there's no more entry. All the entry is done at the daily field report. You would have to edit it because somebody may put in, and this has happened, that I have a guy working for me and I put him down for 6 hours of regular time. Then he goes off and works for you on another job and you put him down for 6 hours of regular time. Well, somebody's got to edit that back to the 8 and the 4. The system's not smart enough to really know how to do that, but it's pretty easy to quickly move those hours around. Let me go down the list here. I'm going to open that menu back up because I don't have everything on this desktop. 2 of my favorite reports are 2 that you checked off. In our cost to complete, hours to complete. I'll find one that's got some hours in it here. So these would be your labor items. These are the hours that were budgeted in the estimate. This is the hours that have gone through payroll. And this is just what percentage of the hours did I use. So this is a bad item, this is a bad item, this is a good item. So we had 59 hours budgeted. I've used 36, and the guy in the field tells me that I am, we'll just make this 65% complete with this item. This is the only column he can really do anything with. It doesn't go anywhere. So he changes that. I recalculated, you didn't see me do that, but it now tells me I need 19 hours to finish it, and I'll be about 3.5 hours under budget. And then very bottom, a summary for the job saying that, in this case, this job's going to be about 59 hours over budget. So that's a good one. I'm not going to save that. This is my favorite, only because this is the way I spent a lot of years in a unit priced environment. So I'll always use this item here. Let's look at a bad one. I'm sorry. So we look at this one here. I had a budget of $2,000. That's with approved change orders. There were 24 somethings to do. 24 acres, 24 feet, 24 inches, 24 square yards. Don't care. 24 vents, 24 rolls of insulation, whatever it is. It just has to be measurable. So we had 24. That's how much money's gone through the system so far, through AP, payroll, inventory adjustments. And the guy in the field says, hey, Dennis, we'll make this a little bit better today. I've got 21 of these done. Well, what happens is I budgeted 86, I'm spending 150, and I'm 64 over budget for each unit. I have that left to spend, and I have this much over budget. So you have these guys reporting in their units complete at the end of the week. They're going to get a good feel if they're making their budget or not on their own without somebody coming out there and having to read the reports to them. They're going to be able to do this pretty quickly. And the best part, Lisa, is that if I'm consistently bidding 85 and consistently spending 140, 150, I've got some feedback now to the estimators that we can't do it for that anymore. Or the field's got to learn a better way to do it. But typically, the estimator gets kind of in a groove and he keeps using the same numbers and doesn't really look at what it's actually costing. And we can do that now by unit, by line item. So that's that one. Those are 2 great reports. So those are just, as you saw, nothing special, just a couple of mouse clicks to get there. Let me go down my list here. We talked about certified. So if I go back into payroll, I go to payroll reports and I go to certified payroll. I already have this filled out, so hang on a second. I do that and I preview this, and then I get the Department of Labor report along with the cover page that looks like that. So as long as you code them to the right pay groups, to the right job, it's going to pay the right rate, do the right fringes, and print that for you. What else we got? Certified. Workers' comp is just as easy. Job cost does include all the burden. So your FICA, FUTA, SUTA, vacation, sick pay if you have it, 401k matching, whatever payroll calc you have, we can recreate so that that burden gets to the job. And you can enter it on that daily field report, or you can enter it weekly like we talked about a little while ago, just in the time card. One thing before we get into service, let's just go to this job or status report's a good one. So look at this one real quick. What I wanted to show you, I'm not really going to show you the report so much as if you look in the top right hand corner, I have a lot of choices. So I can print this report right to any printer on the network. I can preview it. That's what we've been doing. If I want, I can drop it out to Excel. If I want to drop it into Word, which I'm not sure I would want to on a report, but I could. I want to create a PDF to put out on a shared drive or something, I can do that. Or I can just say, hey, you know what? It's going to take a second. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure it's going to work. We'll see. I didn't have Outlook open, so we'll just go, Lisa. Oh, I don't have you on this computer. I'm on a different drive. I would just key your name in there, and it would send you that report. Sitting up in the cloud right now. I don't have all my Outlook addresses up there. Or I can just email it, but I usually use the Outlook because then I get a record of it, and I can send it to groups. So that kind of kills a lot of the project and the job costing and for things that you wanted to see. So on our service, and I just come in, I just pulled up a new work order. So it gives it the next work order number. I usually, I just do this because I like to make sure I get an invoice. What client is this? It happens to be my favorite client, Jessica. You'll note when I went to create this thing, it popped up and told me she had a balance and it was all past due. So it's a warning before I send somebody out there. Fix punch list, let's just say. So that's that. What job is it for? Now I can start this out as a quote or a work order. If it's the quote and they accept it, then I just change it to work order 7. So I'm going to start it out. I'm going to figure that they're going to like me and take my price. So I'll just start it as a work order. And these are customizable. It could be a service call, a repair, warranty, claim, new installation. So we'll just say it's a repair. Jessica happens to have multiple locations, so I can double click this. Fills in the information for location number 2. Dispatch is the next screen. So who do I want to send out there? I want to send Carlos. He doesn't need any equipment. Don't need the vendor. Priorities 3. We're going to send him out, let's say tomorrow. So you can't see me. I'm just going to hit my plus sign, which will change that to the 29th. They want him at 7 o'clock. And it'll take 3 hours, so it'll be done at 10. And it'll take him 30 minutes to get there. So I'm going to save this real quick. So if I go options now and say dispatch board, and there's Carlos leaving the shop at 6:30. What he needs to do, who he needs to see, what phone number, this will all be a little bit wider. And then if I want, I can just email this directly to the technician from here. So if he has a smartphone or something like that, by right-clicking that, and if you have his email set up in his personnel file, this will automatically go out to him. Now, this probably never happens in your company, but Carlos calls in sick, right? I'm just going to grab this work order and give it to Frank. So now if I look at Frank, he's got the same work order. You know what? Frank can't make it then, so you know what? I'm just going to grab this down, and he's going to leave a little bit later. But drag and drop. Your dispatcher is going to be able to see this, and I started it from the work order, Lisa, but a lot of times somebody will call and say, hey, look, you know what? I need Carlos to come out. He's my favorite tech, and I need him to come out Thursday. When's he available? You know what? It's 2 hours right here. And then I sign that to a new work order, and I just work from the dispatch board, and then it fills out the work order. So I filled out the work order in order to fill out the dispatch board, but you could fill out the dispatch board here and have the information go over. So it's up to you. As you can see, I can look at 5 days, or I can look at 1 day. So that's it. And then once that's done, some billing information, and then the invoice details. What part numbers did they use, which will bring in the description once you put the part number in. How many did you use? Or I'm sorry, what the measurement was, how many did I use, and etc. And it'll bill this out and create an invoice for them. Now, you're probably going, man, that's a lot of columns. I don't need all those columns. So yeah, if I don't want to see this thing, and I don't want to see this or this, and I don't need this or this or this, I can hide these. And this becomes, I don't need to take a number, and I don't want to build the date, and I don't care if it's taxable or not. So I can shrink these up so they kind of a lot easier to get through the data entry. But that's pretty much the work orders. And one of the reports that we have is service. This one here. Let's scroll down. Let me open this up a little bit. A bunch of different ones. I have service, profitability by client, but I could put the tech in here so I could see which tech makes me the most money, which salesperson makes me the most money, and then a whole bunch of lists. I mean, there's 1,600 or 1,700 reports in the system, which is nice. But here's one thing we can do for you in the new version. So if I go to reports, and I say search reports, and you're looking for a job cost report for some reason, I just type in job, if I can type right, job cost, and say search. I know the answer, but it's 139. There's 139 reports in here that have something to do with job cost. And so if I'm looking for, there's a job cost journal by job by cost code. If I'm looking for a labor journal by job and cost code, if I'm looking for labor totals, etc., I can now go in here. I see this over here, and now I can just go ahead and launch this thing. Or if you're inclined, you can go in and modify the report, save it with a different name, and have your own version of it. So anyway, this just keeps going on and on and on here. So this was added in the last release, and people, even our current clients, have been on it for a long time. They get every once in a while a phone call and go, I was going through that thing, excuse me, and I found some reports I didn't even know were in there, because it's so much easier when you can just go through here and just kind of arrow down and see what they look like. These are the same, and they're all the same with just different details. And this one's alpha. This one's got a list and a long description. Anyway, bottom line is lots of ways to look at them, lots of ways to run them. If you find one you like, you can drag and drop it right to your desktop, so you don't have to go look for it again. So that's the nice part. I think I covered everything, Lisa. Obviously, it's 20-something minutes long here. If this makes sense and you want to see a proposal, let me know. We can get your proposal, and if the proposal makes sense, then we'd like to come out and see you, and then learn more about your company, meet with some other people to make sure we can get them everything they need, and see if that makes sense. Anyway, my name's Dennis. We're in Temecula, so we're pretty close by. 951-699-6900. So 951-699-6900 if you need anything. Thanks.